Welcome to Enami TV, the artificial intelligence channel that brings you 24/7 news, entertainment, and educational programming.
A Houston teenager, Rudolph "Rudy" Ferriers IV, who went missing 8 years ago, has been found and reunited with his family. Rudy disappeared on March 6, 2015, after taking his 2 dogs for a walk. The details surrounding his disappearance and how he was found remain unclear. The Texas Center for Missing confirmed that Rudy was safe but recovering in the hospital. At the time of his disappearance, detectives did not suspect foul play. The case remains under investigation and more details are expected to be released in due course. A campaign video for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been widely criticized as homophobic, with the Log Cabin Republicans, one of the largest groups representing gay and lesbian Republicans, claiming that DeSantis' rhetoric has ventured into homophobic territory. The video, posted by the DeSantis War Room Twitter account, juxtaposed clips of Donald Trump appearing to support the LGBTQ community with footage of DeSantis' actions as governor that have targeted the community. The video also compared DeSantis to characters from American Psycho and The Wolf of Wall Street without explanation. Christina Pushaw, the campaign's rapid response director, defended the advert, saying it was a critique of the federal recognition of Pride Month and identity politics. However, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, the first openly gay cabinet member ever confirmed by the Senate, questioned the public good of the video during his State of the Union interview. Buttigieg said he did not understand the mentality of someone who gets up in the morning thinking they can prove their worth by making life harder for a vulnerable community. The video was also condemned by Richard Grenell, an openly gay former Trump official, who described it as undeniably homophobic, and Sarah Longwell, a moderate Republican strategist, who called for the dismissal of the consultants who thought the video would be effective. Some commentators suggested that the tone and content of the video reflected DeSantis' campaign's attempts to court young, online right-wingers, including the so-called Groypers, led by white nationalist and Holocaust denier Nicholas Fuentes. The video was shared by Nate Hochman, a former National Review writer and member of DeSantis' communications team, and promoted by Pedro Gonzalez, a pro-DeSantis influencer and magazine editor. Several civil rights and advocacy groups, including the Chica Project and Lawyers for Civil Rights, have filed a federal civil rights complaint against Harvard College, following the Supreme Court's decision to limit affirmative action in higher education. The complaint requests a federal investigation into the university's practices surrounding legacy and donor preferences, which allegedly favor white students disproportionately. The complaint argues that Harvard's practice of favoring the children of wealthy donors and alumni should be ended, particularly in light of the Supreme Court's recent decision. The groups argue that this practice systematically disadvantages students of color. A 2019 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that nearly half of Harvard's white students were either alumni relatives, recruited athletes, or faculty and staff children. In contrast, less than 16% of African American, Asian American, and Hispanic students at Harvard fall into these categories. Despite making up less than 5% of applicants to Harvard, these ADLC candidates constitute around 30% of admitted students, according to Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor's dissenting opinion. She argued that failing to acknowledge the legacy of discrimination that has advantaged some applicants over others fails to recognize the ongoing intergenerational transmission of inequality in the U.S. In response to the Supreme Court ruling, Harvard University stated it would continue to consider race in admissions through an applicant's discussion of how race has affected their life. The university emphasized the importance of a diverse community for transformative teaching, learning, and research. President Joe Biden also criticized the practice of using such preferences in the college admissions process. He announced plans to direct the Department of Education to analyze which practices help build more inclusive and diverse student bodies and which practices hinder this, including legacy admissions. Podcast host Joe Rogan criticized transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light's partnership with her. He made these remarks during an episode of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, with guest rapper Ice Cube. Rogan's comments followed a significant decline in Bud Light's market cap after the company's collaboration with Mulvaney was announced. Rogan suggested that large corporations only heed public opinion when boycotts are successful, citing Bud Light's current situation as an example. He also indirectly criticized Bud Light's vice president of marketing, Alyssa Heinerscheid, although he did not mention her by name. He argued that decision-makers like Heinerscheid, who come from a university and corporate background, are out of touch with regular people. Rogan further criticized Mulvaney, describing her as an attention seeker, and criticizing Bud Light's decision to feature her 365 Days of Womanhood on their cans. He argued that this decision was out of touch with Bud Light's blue-collar, football-watching customer base. He also mentioned an incident where musician Kid Rock shot at the cans, implying this caused further problems for the brand. The article ends with a video clip of Rogan's comments. President Joe Biden's staff are advised to state that he has 6 grandchildren, despite him having 7 biological grandchildren. This was revealed in an exposé by the New York Times, which detailed the complex relationship between the Biden family, London Roberts, and her 4-year-old daughter with Hunter Biden. The young girl is aware of her father and paternal grandfather's identities but has not met them. The Times also reported that President Biden's public image as a family man does not include his granddaughter in the official count of his grandchildren. In strategy meetings, aides have been told that the Bidens have 6 grandchildren, not 7. Despite the lack of recognition from the Biden family, Roberts said her daughter is proud of her paternal family. The report follows the recent settlement of a child support dispute between Roberts and Hunter Biden. Previously, Biden had been paying Roberts $20,000 per month, but he sought to reduce this amount, claiming he could no longer afford it. The new agreement reportedly stipulates that Biden will pay Roberts $5,000 per month. Additionally, Biden's daughter will receive some of his paintings, and Biden agreed to discuss the possibility of starting an education fund for his daughter. As part of the agreement, Roberts will drop her efforts to have her daughter carry the Biden family name. The White House has shared a congressionally mandated research plan on solar geoengineering, a process that could potentially mitigate the effects of solar radiation by reflecting sunlight back into space. However, it has clarified that no formal study is currently being planned. Solar geoengineering procedures include marine cloud brightening, which uses ocean salt to enhance cloud reflectiveness, and stratospheric aerosol injection, which involves releasing sulfate particles into the atmosphere to help reflect sunlight. The research plan aims to improve understanding of the potential impacts of solar radiation modification, SRM, rather than focusing on the technologies needed for its deployment. The research could contribute to understanding basic climate processes, human greenhouse gas emissions effects, and SRM outcomes. The plan draws on existing literature on SRM, ongoing research, and other reports highlighting SRM research priorities. It is expected to be updated as knowledge in this dynamic field grows. The White House acknowledged in a press release that research on solar radiation modification impacts has been ad hoc and fragmented, lacking a comprehensive strategy. This has resulted in significant knowledge gaps and uncertainties in many critical areas. The press release also confirmed that there are currently no plans to establish a comprehensive research program focused on solar radiation modification.
Please subscribe and stay tuned for developments.